people think of British filmmaking, a variety of contrasting images are conjured up. Some will picture elegant period dramas based on the country's classic pieces of literature. In contrast, others will imagine the likes of Vinnie Jones slumming it out in gritty crime dramas directed by Guy Ritchie. However, there is a seething underbelly to British cinema that focuses on something altogether more terrifying than gangsters and poor social etiquette. That being horror. The UK has created many haunting horror flicks throughout the years, and sadly, a handful of them have slipped under the radar. So with that in mind, I'm Ellie with What Culture here with 10 terrifying British horror movies you probably haven't seen. Number 10. DEATHWATCH. The horrors of war are so universally feared that many movies focusing on the deadly history of the world feel like accidental horror films. This 2002 British flick furthers that idea by giving the battlefield a pure shot of supernatural terror. DEATHWATCH follows a collection of World War I soldiers, including popular British actors like Jamie Bell, Chris Marshall and Andy Serkis, who take shelter within an abandoned bunker in enemy territory. However, once night falls, they find that the threat of German soldiers is not the only thing they need to be afraid of, as an unknown force picks them off one by one. This movie is dripping with atmosphere as it juggles between leaving you in paranoia and chucking scares your way. The creativity of the concept carries the film as it takes the horrifying idea of the trenches and turns them into a demonic labyrinth full of madness. Plus, besides the supernatural thrills, there is a focus on the brutality of war that keeps the flick grounded. Make sure you don't sleep on this one, especially if the likes of 1917 and Dunkirk weren't spooky enough for you. Number 9. A Dark Song. Cabin fever almost seems like an amusing idea for a horror movie, as everyone has gotten used to being cooped up in the same place for an extended period of time in the last few years. However, A Dark Song is anything but amusing, as this occult-themed Welsh getaway is certainly not peaceful. The movie centres on a woman, Sophia, who rents out a large house on the outskirts of Wales. She employs an occultist named Michael to perform a ritual that will allow her to contact her dead son. Unfortunately, secrets become revealed as the movie progresses and the procedure soon becomes dangerous. This one is a real slow burn, as the film takes its time to establish the mood, tone and atmosphere before getting too frightening. You'll feel yourself getting frustrated alongside the characters as this painful, long ritual drags out. This makes you fall in deep with the pair, causing the eventual threats and violence to hit you just as hard as it does them. A Dark Song is a picture that is complemented by its acting, with Catherine Walker and Steve Oram doing an excellent job in the leading roles. They, alongside the strong direction and script from Liam Gavin, help to make this seemingly static film a tense experience. Number 8. Red Kingdom Rising. Britain is widely known for producing some of history's most iconic pieces of literature, and one said title is Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. This classic tale has seen many on-screen iterations, but this movie does away with all the pleasantries of the original novel and delves into something far more frightening than a tea party. This low-budget horror film follows the adventures of a troubled woman who is sucked into the terrifying world of the Red Kingdom, where she is forced to encounter and confront Wonderland-inspired figures who reflect her horrific past. There is a long history of bringing the darkness out of the Alice in Wonderland tale, as seen in surreal horrors like Jan Svankmeyer's Alice or even Tim Burton's live-action Disney movies. But Red Kingdom Rising shifts the focus from the surrealism of the adventure to the examination of trauma, memory and repression. The exploration of a damaged psyche combined with dreamlike imagery creates a unique spin on the classic tale. You're also in luck if any of this sounds appealing, as the film is available to watch for free on YouTube. Number 7. In Fabric. A24 horror movies are a staple unto themselves, as any film associated with the company is quickly given a special stamp of approval from lovers of elevated horror. Many know about the slew of stellar British movies like St. Maud or Men connected to the company, but one often forgotten title is In Fabric. The film follows the exploits of a cursed dress passed between owners after being purchased in a sale by a recently divorced bank teller named Sheila. Each owner of the dress becomes the victim of terrifying supernatural accidents, revealing that something within the fabric is deeply evil. The idea of a killer dress is unique, to say the least. It's not the kind of thing that would usually get people screaming in terror. However, the film works in favour of the bizarre concept, as it manages to have its cake and eat it by creating plenty of humour in the premise and making the fashion-centric threat believable and frightening. The excellent directing, strong acting, superb cinematography and bonkers concept make this one a must-see for fans of unique horror. Number 6. Severance. Most office workers are likely to groan when hearing the words team building weekend, but this movie takes the idea of forced fun and corporate talk and turns it into a horror fest as a dull work retreat turns into a bloodbath. Severance, not to be confused with the 2022 Adam Scott-led thriller series, follows a group of British and Canadian office workers on a team-building getaway in the mountains of Hungary. However, they are soon forced into a fight for their lives as a mysterious killer begins hunting them down. This film's concept might conjure the image of a bog-standard slasher flick with a couple of good kills and a mundane presentation, but Severance is far from that. It is an excellent horror comedy that balances the two genres with ease, capitalizing on the comic skills of the cast, which includes Danny Dyer, with plenty of witty writing and strong pacing. Still, Severance is no easy ride, as the deaths and general threats are terrifying. There's a grittiness to the violence that gives it a sharp edge, making you laugh and wince in equal measure. The movie was advertised as The Office meets Shaun of the Dead upon its release, and it's hard to argue with those comparisons. Number 5. BERBERIAN Sound Studio. There are many terrifying jobs in the world. Imagine being a lion tamer, high-rise window washer, or crime scene cleaner. It doesn't bear thinking about. Still, this film takes what should be a simple, non-threatening job and turns it into a nightmare. BERBERIAN Sound Studio follows a sound engineer named Gilderoy, played by Toby Jones, as he travels to the titular studio in Italy to work on a film that he thinks is about horses. Once there, he is informed that the project is actually an Italian giallo feature, a genre known for its exploitative violence and sexual content. As his contribution to the flick continues, the lines between fiction and reality begin to blur. The picture is carried by the masterful performance of Jones, who accurately conveys the sense of a man losing his mind. As the plot progresses, you get the sense that life imitates art as events become more violent and unpredictable. While it's not overly gory or shocking, the psychological horror will leave your mind reeling. Peter Strickland, who also created In Fabric, is the writer-director behind the film, with both of those movies proving that he has a deep connection to British modern horror cinema. Number 4. PREVENGE. Being pregnant is the kind of thing that many women spend their whole lives looking forward to. But if it comes with these kind of side effects, then I think a lot of those same women might reconsider attempting to grow life inside themselves. PREVENGE is a horror comedy that centers around a recently widowed woman, Ruth, who is 7 months pregnant. She soon becomes convinced that her baby is speaking to her, telling her to get revenge on the people responsible for her husband's death. This leads her on a murderous rampage as she brutally eliminates those responsible. This film's concept sells it wonderfully, as the twisted idea of a pregnant killer and an evil fetus gives the flick a cynical edge that makes it stand out. The kills are intense, but the goofy tone keeps the whole thing from straying too far into misery. PREVENGE is written and directed by Alice Lowe, who also takes on the role of Ruth. Lowe, who is known for her work on titles like Ghosts, Horrible Histories, and Hot Fuzz, played the part while heavily pregnant herself, giving the character a biological realism not possible with filmmaking techniques. Number 3. The Hallow. The country of Ireland has some of the richest mythology in all of culture, yet it's rare to see it brought to the big screen. Thankfully, for those who want a fix of fairies, banshees, and changelings, The Hallow proves how terrifying the country's fantasy creatures can be. The Hallow shows a family moving into a remote house in Ireland and finding themselves caught in a struggle against the titular Hallow, a collection of baby-stealing creatures. Things soon grow to terrifying lengths as this mother and father pair attempt to protect their baby from the monsters. This is a film that will haunt you with its spectacular monster designs, which manage to be uniquely creepy and eye-catching simultaneously. Even the setting will get your hair standing on end, as the forest surrounding the characters has enough mystery to feel like a lingering threat. Additionally, The Hallow plays into the idea of being an outsider, with the central English couple feeling like outcasts in this new country, reflecting the main character's lack of respect for the area's superstitions. Chuck some monsters in and you've got an Irish horror for the ages. Number 2. Wakewood. If there's anything that this movie and The Hallow can teach you, is that you should avoid the remote areas of Ireland like the plague, because nothing seems to go right for folk who move there in horror films. Wakewood tells the story of a couple who recently lost their daughter. After relocating to the rural village of Wakewood, they discover that they can see their daughter again for 3 days if they participate in a pagan ritual. But as expected, the consequences of this come back to haunt them. There are some who will compare the picture to Stephen King's Pet Sematary, as the stories are deeply similar. However, Wakewood stands on its own thanks to the focus on folkloric ceremony and paganism. The themes of taboo rituals tied so heavily to the town give it a deep connection to the setting, making the title seem truly Irish. Wakewood is a deep morality tale about the consequences of your actions, with the frights helping to convey the message of taking superstition seriously and the dangers of allowing grief to control you. Number Number 1. A Field in England. The English Civil War is not the subject of many films in the modern day, especially not in the horror genre. However, this 2013 flick said hold my beer and decided to make a creepy, unsettling and downright disturbing, scary tale set in the backdrop of the historical period. A Field in England follows a collection of battlefield deserters who are captured by an alchemist. This strange figure forces them to partake in his attempts to uncover a hidden treasure he believes is buried in an overgrown field. The film is presented in black and white, causing it to almost feel like a full historical drama. This stylistic choice also makes A Field in England deeply uncanny once the violence and occult surrealism enter the fray, presenting a clash of styles from the awful things seen on screen compared to the beautiful cinematography. This Ben Wheatley-helmed offering is also incredibly well acted, boasting great performances from actors such as Reece Shearsmith, Michael Smiley, Peter Ferdinando and Julian Barrett. While it's not the most conventional horror tale, A Field in England is certainly something you won't want to miss if you love British cinema. And that concludes our list. If you think we missed any, then do let us know in the comments below. And while you're there, don't forget to like and subscribe and tap that notification bell. Also head over to Twitter and follow us there, and I can be found across various social medias just by searching Ellie Littlechild. I've been Ellie with What Culture. I hope you have a magical day, and I'll see you real soon.